On a quiet Monday morning in January 2025, the sleepy town of Nenmara in Palakkad, Kerala, became the scene of one of the most chilling crimes in recent memory. Two people, a man and his elderly mother, were brutally stabbed to death in broad daylight. What makes this case absolutely haunting is not just the brutality of the murders, but the sinister backstory that connects three deaths across 6 years: a superstitious man, a belief in black magic, a scorned neighbor, and a justice system that, many say, failed to protect innocent lives. This is the story of Nenmara. This is the Nenmara Double Murder. To understand the horrors of January 2025, we need to go back 6 years. August 31st, 2019. The location: a quiet residential area in Nenmara, Kerala, called Palakkad. A woman named Sajitha was alone in her home. Her husband, Sudhakaran, a truck driver, was away working in Tamil Nadu. Her 2 daughters were in school. It was just another ordinary afternoon, or so she thought. Sajitha was in her kitchen, preparing lunch. Unbeknownst to her, there was a man watching, waiting. A man consumed by a dark obsession. His name was Nenmara, age 58. A truck driver. A neighbor. And according to police, a man who had fallen completely under the spell of superstition. Months earlier, Nenmara's wife had left him. She had taken their daughter with her. The marriage had been troubled. Accounts suggest Nenmara was controlling, abusive, and deeply suspicious of his wife's social activities. But instead of accepting responsibility, Nenmara did something that would set him on a path of darkness. He consulted a sorcerer. This so-called sorcerer told him something that would become the motive for unspeakable violence. The sorcerer claimed that Nenmara's wife had left him because of black magic. Specifically, the sorcerer said a woman with long hair in his neighborhood was responsible. It's black magic, witchcraft. These were the whispers that poisoned Nenmara's mind. And he was convinced he knew who it was: Sajitha, his neighbor, the woman with long hair. When Nenmara saw Sajitha talking on the phone, he believed, in his distorted reality, that she was speaking with his wife. He had created a narrative so twisted, so divorced from reality, that in his mind, Sajitha wasn't just a neighbor anymore. She was the enemy. She was the witch who had stolen his family. On that August afternoon in 2019, Nenmara made a decision. He entered Sajitha's house through the back door. No one saw him. He moved silently, like a predator closing in on its prey. Sajitha was still in the kitchen, unaware of the danger standing behind her. Then it happened. With a sharp, sickening force, Nenmara attacked. The weapon: a knife. The target: Sajitha's neck and shoulders. Multiple savage cuts. Deep, brutal, fatal wounds. Sajitha tried to fight back. She tried to scream, but it was too late. By the time her attacker was done, she lay lifeless on the kitchen floor, her blood pooling around her body. Nenmara left the blood-stained knife at the scene. He didn't attempt to hide it. In fact, later that day, a farmer named Sivaraj found Sajitha's body on the road outside her home. She was still conscious, still breathing, her wounds catastrophic. She was rushed to the hospital, but her injuries were too severe. Sajitha died. For murdering a woman he didn't even have a real conflict with, a woman whose only crime was having long hair and living near Nenmara, was arrested, tried, and convicted. He was sentenced to life in prison. But here's where the story takes a horrifying turn. In 2022, after serving just 3 years of his life sentence, Nenmara was granted bail. Bail. The word that would haunt the victims' families forever. The court imposed strict conditions. He was forbidden from entering the Nenmara Panchayat limits. He was forbidden from coming within sight of the Nenmara police station. These conditions were meant to protect the community, to prevent Nenmara from ever coming near his victim's family again. But slowly, these restrictions began to erode. In 2023, the ban was loosened slightly. By late 2024, Nenmara had moved back into the neighborhood, back to his old house, back to where Sajitha's family lived, back to a place where he should never have been allowed to return. And the people of Palakkad were terrified. In December 2024, 64 women from the neighborhood 64 submitted a petition to the Nenmara police station. They begged authorities to remove Nenmara. They said he was making threats. He was telling people that 3 specific women in the neighborhood knew Pushpa and Mamano would feel the same loneliness he was feeling. The threats were real. The fear was genuine. But the police did nothing. When Akila, the daughter of Sudhakaran and Sajitha, filed a complaint on December 29th, all the police did was call Nenmara in and give him a verbal warning. A verbal warning for a man convicted of brutal murder who was violating the terms of his bail? That was it. Akila and her sister Athelia pleaded with authorities. They lived in constant fear. Their mother had already been murdered by this man. How much more evidence did the police need? But their pleas fell on deaf ears. No one predicted what would happen next. Monday, January 27, 2025, 9:45 a.m., a farmer named Sivaraj was on his way to his paddy field, the same farmer who had found Sagitha's body 6 years earlier. As he walked along the road, he encountered Nenmara. They exchanged a normal greeting. Nothing seemed wrong. But Sivaraj had no idea what was about to unfold. Minutes later, around 9:45 a.m., Sivaraj saw something that would haunt him forever. On the side of the road, a man was lying in a pool of blood. It was Sudhakaran, Sagitha's husband, the father of 2 daughters. But Sudhakaran wasn't alone in that pool of blood. Next to him was another body, an elderly woman, her body covered in deep, vicious cuts. It was Lakshmi, Sudhakaran's 75-year-old grandmother. Both had been hacked to death with brutal, repeated stab wounds. Lakshmi was still clinging to life when locals rushed her to the hospital. But her injuries were catastrophic. She died within hours, just like Sajitha had 6 years before. The police would later discover what had happened. Sudhakaran had seen Nenmara on the road that morning, the same Nenmara who was supposed to be kept away from the neighborhood. When Sudhakaran spotted him holding a knife, he had panicked. He had tried to reverse his vehicle and escape. But Nenmara, angered by the attempted avoidance, attacked. He attacked with fury. With the fury of a man driven by 6 years of pent-up anger, twisted logic, and deep superstition. Why had he done it? According to police confessions, Nenmara truly believed that Sudhakaran would seek revenge for his wife's death, so he struck first. He murdered Sudhakaran in the street. And when Lakshmi came out of the house, he murdered her too. 2 people dead. Just like that. After committing the murders, Nenmara fled. He ran to the Matai forest area, a dense woodland near Pathundi. For 36 hours, the entire region lived in terror. A killer was on the loose. No one knew where he was. No one knew if he would strike again. The police launched a massive search operation. 125 officers, including Kerala police commandos, scoured the forests. Local residents joined the search, their fear turning into grim determination. But Nenmara was clever. He knew the forest well. He had been tracking police movements, evading capture. For a day and a half, he remained hidden. Then something very human happened. Hunger. By the night of January 28th, Nenmara was starving. He decided to take a risk. He would return home, gather some supplies, and disappear back into the forest. But the police were waiting. They had laid a trap. When they announced that they were calling off the search, Nenmara heard the news. He thought he was safe. He emerged from hiding, walked toward his house, and found himself surrounded by police. At 10:30 p.m. on January 28th, Nenmara was arrested. When news of his capture spread, the community's fear turned into rage. Hundreds of people gathered outside the Nenmara police station, demanding to see the accused. The situation became so volatile that police had to use pepper spray and mild force to disperse the crowd. Let's pause for a moment and think about what happened to Akila and Athelia. These 2 sisters lost their mother in 2019. 6 years later, on a single morning, they lost their father and their grandmother. In the span of a few hours, their entire family was wiped out. Both girls are now orphans. They have no parents. Their grandmother is gone, all killed by the same man. All killed because a justice system failed to prevent it. When Akila was at the police station waiting to see Nenmara, she broke down. "My grandparents only have me to rely on now," she said, referring to her maternal grandparents. "I need to look after them. I don't even know how I will continue my studies." She later told authorities, "He killed our mother in 2019 and was in jail. Then he came out and killed our father and grandmother. He is arrested now. He'll be put in jail. only to be released a few years later, and again he will kill people. These are the words of a teenager who has lost everything. In October 2025, the trial for Sagitha's 2019 murder finally concluded. After 6 years of investigation, 6 years of legal proceedings, a court found Nenmara guilty. The judge sentenced him to double life imprisonment. Fines were imposed. The verdict was clear. Nenmara is a dangerous man who will continue to kill if released. But here rests the bitter reality. A sentence is not justice when the system that gave bail allowed him to murder again. The Nenmara police inspector Mahendra Simhan M. was suspended for his negligence. But suspensions don't bring back Sudhakaran. They don't bring back Lakshmi. They don't give Akila and Athulya their family back. The trial for the double murder? It's still ongoing. This case is a chilling reminder of how superstition can poison a mind. How a casual conversation with a sorcerer and encounter that should have been ignored set in motion a chain of events that destroyed multiple lives. It's a reminder of how a justice system can fail spectacularly, and how the price of that failure is paid not by judges or police, but by innocent families. One man. One twisted belief in witchcraft. One town. 2 acts of brutal murder separated by 6 years. This is the Nenmara Double Murder. And it's a story that proves sometimes the most dangerous criminal isn't someone who plans elaborate schemes. It's someone driven by superstition, obsession, and a system that gave him second chances. The family of Sudhakaran and Lakshmi is still waiting for closure. And Akila and Athulya are still asking, why wasn't he kept away from our neighborhood? Why wasn't the system listening? The answers, friends, are the most chilling mystery of all.